Good morning, everyone, and welcome. Let's do a prayer together to start our class this morning. Heavenly Father, Divine Mother, friend, beloved God, Guru Preceptors, Jesus Christ, Babaji Krishna, Lahiri Shaya, Swami Sri Yukteswarji, beloved Guru Dev, Paramahansa Yogananda Ji, saints of all religions, we bow at thy feet. Bless me that I be in attunement with thee, with thy will, thy inspiration, energy, magnetism, with thy joy. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Today's topic is self-effort versus grace. And we will start with a song written by Swami Kriyanandaji, and then a brief excerpt of a video of Swamiji talking on this topic. Welcome again, friends.
But to stay
One time the master was scolding a disciple, saying to him, "Why are you always so light? You should be more serious, because if you are always light, God won't be able to come to you." And he said, "Sir, I would love to change, but how can I do so without your grace?" Yogananda's answer was classic. He said, "Without your blessings." He said, "My blessings are there already. God's blessings are there already. It's your blessings that are lacking." Many people in religion, both East and West, think that it's a sign of humility and therefore a virtue and a good thing and a blessing to believe that God does everything. I remember I told this same story in India many years ago, and when I came to that reply of the disciple, "How can I do it without your blessings?" everybody said, "Oh, what a beautiful answer." They were definitely downcast when I gave them Yogananda's answer. Because indeed, we must understand that there is a need for both. God isn't going to do it without our help, they say, God helps those who help themselves. Many years ago, I remember I was giving a lecture in our church in Hollywood. And I remembered suddenly that Yogananda had said, "When you speak, ask that God talk through you." And I thought, well, here's a good opportunity. I'll just let him talk through me. So I stood there. Now, mind you, in the middle of a lecture, to stand there for 2 minutes and say nothing, everybody gets the impression you've frozen. I know a friend of mine was perspiring, thinking that I just frozen with fear. Actually, I was quite comfortable. I was just waiting for God to speak. Trouble is, he never did. I finally had to realize and accept that he will do it, but only if we do it too. Our lives, the greatest miracles, everything that is done in this world has to be by two powers, yours and God's. Now mind you, it's all God's anyway, and even if you have the thought that I'm doing it all, it's really he who is doing it. So many doctors think they heal. It's really God's power that heals. And when they fail, they blame themselves and feel very downcast. They shouldn't blame themselves. Do your best, leave the results in God's hands. But we do have to do everything in partnership with him. And this is a very difficult lesson to learn. That was just one of many lessons that I've had to go through in life to try to understand this thing. And I can't pretend to have fully understood it even now. Where does God's grace end and where do your efforts begin? Where do your efforts begin and God's grace come in? Excuse me. You just don't really know. You do know one thing, however, that those who are close to God are never weaklings. They're always men and women of great power of willpower, and yet they know God's power is what they use, but they don't say, God, you do it all. They aren't wimps, in other words. I'm just reminded of a curious story. I either read it or was told it, I forget which, but it was by an American soldier in India during the Second World War, and he saw one of these sadhus, these holy men, who had his arm upraised like this. And this is not this is not a practice recommended by the greater saints, but nonetheless, some people do it, and he did it, and it seemed to help him in certain ways. But this American scoffingly said, "What are you trying to do, Daddy? Just waiting for God to send fruits down into your hands?" And the saint said, "Well, why don't you try it?" The man said, "What do you mean? Go ahead, lift your hands up." So he lifted his hands up, and he couldn't take them down. And he tried and he tried, he couldn't. He said, finally, he said, "Holy man, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to mock you." He said, "Help me to bring my hands down." The saint said, "Well, finish what you started." "What do you mean?" "Well, you wanted to ask God for fruits. Go ahead." So the man felt like an utter fool. So he said, anyway, he said, "Heavenly Father, please send me some fruits." And all of a sudden, these beautiful mangoes and bananas came into his hands, and he was able to take his arms down. Said they were delicious, too.
What a great story. I'd like to start with a brief reading Master's words on grace, what it is. Grace is God's power as distinct from any lesser power. Because God is the only reality, his also is the only power in existence. Seen in this light, our merely human efforts are illusory. It is his power, even when we draw on it unconsciously, that accomplishes everything that we achieve in life. Our failures are due to lack of attunement on our part with that power. God's grace flows into us the more we open ourselves to him. It doesn't come to us from outside. It is the operation from within of our own higher reality. Grace comes the more we live in soul consciousness and the less we live centered in the ego. This is such an important topic, especially on the spiritual path, because like Swamiji said, people think it's easy. I don't have to do anything. I'll just sit and chant Om and pray that God help me. Guruji's doing it all. All the masters are doing it. I haven't found that to be true at all. You have to put out an enormous amount of effort to draw the grace. You have to be magnetic yourself to draw God's grace. Surely we have to do our part, and God's grace is there as well. There was an amazing story Swamiji used to like to tell, just a sort of a humorous story, of a man who was walking by a garden, and he saw the farmer, and he said, "Oh, what a beautiful garden you and God have made here." And the farmer said, "Yes, but you should have seen it when God had it all to himself." And this is how it is. We have to put our efforts in and complete the circle, so to speak, to bring God's help. God needs our help, we need his help. But ultimately, like Swamiji said, underneath it all, it's his power. I remember when I got out of high school, I went to high school in Compton, California. This was rated, maybe after that, but like the worst high school in the country. And for a variety of reasons. So anyway, I got through God's grace, I got to college, and in my through affirmative action. And my first, because I got good grades, but there was a bad school. So I got to college, to UC Berkeley. It was intense, I'm telling you. The first quarter I had to take a science requirement. So I took physical anthropology. 500 people in the lecture hall, one lecturer, one teacher on a dais in the front of the stage. And so first quarter, I thought I'll pass because I've always passed and I have good grades and everything. And I had a straight F on the midterm. I had never gotten an F in my life. I just thought, this is outrageous. I can't be flunking out of college the first quarter. And I wasn't on the spiritual path. And so I just willed. I willed myself to learn. I knew I could learn. I knew I had a good brain. I knew I could understand if I applied myself. And that's where I learned will, concentration, focus. And I had a job as well, 4 hours a day. So I went to class, I went to my job. Then I spent the rest of the time, other than sleep, in the library. And I studied and I studied and I studied, and I started understanding more and more and more. And, and then when the final came, I felt pretty secure, but I wasn't sure. So then I did the final. I said, "Oh, this seems good." In the middle of the night, I went, "Oh my God, I forgot to put my name on my paper." And thank God I had written in red ink. The next morning, why, I can't tell you. Next morning, I rushed to the TA's office, teacher's assistant. I said, I did my paper. It's in red ink. It's got to be the only one. There were stacks and stacks of papers. We finally found my paper. I said, "That's my paper." And what did my paper have on it? A. I was so happy. So I got a C in the course. I worked that hard for 4 years. When I got that diploma, I was the happiest person on earth. But I learned how to apply myself. I learned you can't just sit back and hope that things go well. And so in anything we do, if there's, including anything outside of the spiritual path, but for sure, meditation, we have to put in energy. Even breathing, you have to put effort into it. Walking, you have to put effort into it. Running, or singing, or dancing, or sewing, or whatever it is. Lecturing, you have to put energy. Greater the will, the greater the flow of the energy. And the energy is creating a wonderful aura of light, and it's pulling, it's drawing the grace. And what do we mean by effort? It means concentration, it means focus, it means determination, it means I will do it. Yes, I can do it. It means willingness, it means openness, it means being energetic, enthusiastic, positive, all of those things. And it's tapping, you tap into grace. If you can lift your energy up and focus, I've seen it hundreds of times, then the grace comes. But you have to put the energy out. Like Swamiji said when he was giving that lecture. He said he didn't say this on the talk, but he's told us other times that he was just praying inside to God. Come on, say something, say something. And Divine Mother didn't say anything because he had to put out the effort. And Swamiji would tell the story of his singing teacher and how his singing teacher would go over the same thing over and over and over for 6 months. He had to put out the effort to try to get in alignment, try to get in attunement. And that's what we're doing, getting in attunement and alignment. He said, finally, after 6 months of singing, she said, that note. And that's how I want all your notes to sound. And for me, I've been studying music in the past month, as you know. I studied before Nanda, and I played harmonium during these years. But now I'm learning a bowing instrument, the Esraj. And, I know what Swamiji's saying. I was playing the same note for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours till my teacher said, now you got it. I was learning the bow over and over. No, your hand is wrong. No, you're pulling wrong. No, it's too strong. No. You just keep at it till pop, you have it. And then the grace flows. Then you can play. Then you can sing. But you have to keep practicing. And the same with Hindi. For me, I've been studying Hindi for a long time. Let's face it. It's been since I came to India in 2005. Sometimes more, sometimes less. But lately, it's been a lot more because now I'm needing to teach and give Kriya in Hindi. This is not light, let me tell you. It's grueling. I'm sorry to say that, but it takes every ounce of energy and effort that I have to learn these words and Margdarshan, Anukulan, Chumbakiya, all these words. I go over, and then put them in a phrase, and then put them in the talk, and then go over and over and over. It took me like 3 months to get ready to give a Kriya. People think, oh, you just did it, but no way. I was dreaming in Hindi. I was dreaming, and finally I could give it. And I was, I got better and better and better as I've done maybe 15 of them now, but it takes effort. And then God's grace came and helped me. But I couldn't say, give me the words, Divine Mother. I had to work at it. So we're cooperating with grace. We're aligning ourselves. Master said, my blessings there. Swamiji said, God's blessings there. Your blessing needs to come. And the greater the will, the greater the flow of energy. And also 25% of the spiritual path is our efforts. Means you have to put 100% in. 25% Guruji gives you is his great good karma. And 50% is God's grace. Also, Master said to say, I will reason, I will, I will act, I will reason, I will, I will act. But guide thou my reason, will, and activity to the right path in every action. It's an incredibly important topic because this is how you make spiritual progress. And as Master said to one disciple, he said, I can't do it without your blessing, like Swamiji said. And he said, my blessing's there. And another time, he said, the disciple said, well, you're a master, you can do it. And Master said, what do you think made me a master? Doing. And finally, Swamiji said that when they got Ananda village, bought the property, there was so much to do. They needed so many funds to make everything work and to purchase things and all. And he said, he prayed to Divine Mother, you've got to help us. You've got to help us and help bring people who can help us to build the community. And so people did come, and they were, they had to grow into it as well, but finances didn't come. And Swamiji said, we had to do it ourselves. We had to raise the money. We had to build the community. We had to pay for the expenses. And he said, she didn't come. She came in another way. She came through us because she wanted us to grow. So this is an important concept. People say, well, Divine Mother didn't help me, but you didn't help yourself. As soon as you put out the energy, either through you or through somebody or some circumstance, or circumstances change, or your health gets better, or whatever it is, you see God's power. It's God's power flowing through you. And I like to, if you attune to it, I like to end this part with an affirmation, if you would do it with me. It's a very powerful affirmation. Then we'll go into questions and answers. I'll read these words and we'll do it together. These are Master's words. I will, with my own will, which flows from the divine will, to be happy, to be well, to be prosperous and spiritual, to be well, to be well. So close your eyes. Let's tense and relax the body a couple of times. Say it out loud and then more and more quietly. I will, with my own will, which flows from the divine will, to be happy, to be well, to be happy, to be well, to be prosperous and spiritual, to be well, to be well. I will, with my own will. I will, with my own will, which flows from the divine will, which flows from the divine will, to be happy, to be well, to be prosperous and spiritual, to be well, to be well. I will, with my own will. I will, with my own will, which flows from the divine will, which flows from the divine will, to be happy, to be well, to be prosperous and spiritual, to be well, to be well. I will, with my own will. I will, with my own will. I will, with my own will, which flows from the divine will, which flows from the divine will, to be happy, to be well, to be prosperous, to be spiritual, to be well, to be well. I will. Focus at the spiritual eye with my own will. Which flows from the divine will. To be happy, to be well, to be prosperous, to be spiritual, to be well, to be well. Feel every doubt, every worry, every fear being banished by the power of these words of our Guru, the light coming out of them, banishing all darkness, igniting your will, your efforts that will draw God's grace. It's within you already. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. I'll ask Nitendra to join on screen now.
Thank you, Dhyanaji. We have a few questions. The first one is, I feel a lot of inertia in taking up a new task, especially if it is challenging. So how can I overcome that?
Can you repeat that?
Yes, Dhyanaji. I feel a lot of inertia in taking
Inertia, okay. And starting something new. Huh. Well, this affirmation could help you. You got to do things that get you off of the couch. Affirmations do it. SCL, super conscious living exercises do it. some energization will get you off the couch, go doing some exercise, just head for the door. Don't think about it. I don't think, I just head for the door to get outside. Prayer, but don't be passive. God, help me, help me. You got to help yourself. Chanting, listening to chants, the powerful chants will get you up moving. Being with strong-willed people, doing some seva, not just sitting there on the computer. Get out and do something. Serve people, help people. The whole thing is you keep the energy moving. You keep it flowing. Something comes up and you say, okay, I got the energy to do it. Instead of, well, I got to raise up so I get the energy. You should be having strong energy all the time. And doubts. Swamiji, Master told Swamiji, you were eaten up with doubts. I can't do it. What if this happens? What if I don't? What if I fail? It's better to fail, Gita says, at your own, at somebody else's dharma than your own. To fail at your own than doing somebody else's dharma. But the thing is, it is even better to fail at something than not do it at all. Master had some failures. You call them failures. You know, look at his temple, fell down in the Pacific Ocean. And a lot of things he did didn't work out. So what? I saw Swamiji do a lot of things that didn't work out. So what? People are just gripped with fear. What if, what if, what if, what if? And then they just fall asleep the rest of their life. You live with somebody like Swami Kriyananda, what if was not anything you could say, or I can't, or I don't know. These weren't good responses. It was like, move it, get moving, make it happen, create it, create a miracle, create your life, banish the darkness in the mind. You've got to work at it. That's what the bottom line is to this question. You have to work at it. I'm realizing that, you know, I can have my music teacher here 10 hours, but I have to do the work. I have to practice, practice, practice. You can have your meditation teacher there forever, but you got to meditate. You can have your running teacher, your swimming teacher showing you, but you got to get in the water or you got to run yourself. It all comes back to, you got to do it. And how do you grow otherwise? That's the big question, isn't it? How do you grow if you never do anything? So Swamiji applauded creativity, initiative. Get going, do it. Even if you fell on your face, get up, keep going. It's okay. I love that spirit rather than, you know, you'd be in a room with him. And so, okay, we've got this project. What are we going to do? He asked people, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think? Not, I don't know, Swamiji. You know, he's like, what? Well, think about it. Come up with some answers. So that's what Ananda's about, creativity, initiative, making things happen. We created these centers here. We created Ananda India. We couldn't say, Divine Mother, you create everything. We'll just sit here and sip some chai. She made us work. In America and Europe, all these places, communities, it's a lot of creativity, a lot of thought, a lot of will, a lot of energy, a lot of magnetism, a lot of I will, I concentration, focus. We can't be on easy street. It just takes you to, let me tell you where, nowhere. It takes you nowhere. You think you're going somewhere, but you just keep going down, 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 then you crash. So it's a good lesson. Okay, Natendra, I could talk on this one for a long time, as you see. You have the next question.
Yes, Dhanaji. The next question is, sometimes I put a lot of effort and will, but still the work does not get done. So would this mean that I am not attuned enough?
It could mean that. It could mean you need to do more. It could mean that it's going to come up later. You know, like a Nadi reader said to Swamiji about communities, his work in India. Swamiji asked him, a Brigu reader. No, it was someone else, a saint. He said, it will come up. It will come up. And that was in the 50s, you know, but it didn't come up right away. So I don't think it's the end of the story. Give it some time. Everybody's impatient and in a rush. Got to happen now. It didn't happen. I knew it wasn't going to happen. but give it some time, and you just got to keep fueling it, keep fueling it, keep fueling it, keep fueling it, and like that lady told Swamiji, I've been meditating for 6 months and I'm not in samadhi yet. Oh my gosh. Anyway, everything takes time and effort. Okay, then you have another one.
We have actually a live question, Dhyanji.
Okay.
Why do we say that God is the doer?
Yeah.
I mean, so
That it?
yes, Dhyanji.
Why do we say God is the doer? Because there's no power. I mean, how could you even see or walk or talk or swallow or sleep or get up in the morning or think or breathe? Or how could you do anything? Because God's power is everything. God is the doer. You would be a shell. If Master would say, people say they don't have time for God. If he stops ticking in your heart, he would say for 1 second, you'd be gone. And so God is the doer, but he needs instruments. That's why we improve on ourselves, improve on our attitudes, improve on your behavior, improve on your energy level, improve on your magnetism. Don't just say, I'm a channel. You're not a channel until you really work at it. Ask the masters, make me a channel. Help me to be more inspired. Help me to have answers. Help me to not worry. Help me to not be fearful. Help me to not be lazy. Help me to get up in the morning. Help me to meditate at night. Help me. But you got to help yourself. And so God is the doer through you. How about that? But there's a lot of things he does without you. Let's face it. Who's shooting the planets up in the sky and making the stars shine and shining in the sun and the moon? You can say you're the doer, but I think you're well mistaken.
One final question, Dhyanji.
TK.
How can I draw our gurus more in my non-spiritual daily activities?
Nitendra, I think the first thing is drop the non. Everything is spiritual. If you make it spiritual, isn't it so? So you say, oh, I meditate, then I go to my non-spiritual life. Hello. I mean, that's a mistake. You need to bring God into everything. Bring God to your job, in the taxi when you drive, in the rickshaw, if you're on the rickshaw. I mean, I have Divine Mother in my heart all the time. I mean, anything could happen anytime. And everybody's looking for God when a problem comes up, or when they've got a health challenge, when they've got a surgery, or somebody's died. Where's God? Well, where were you? You just have to have him, her with you all the time. Master said Divine Mother's closer than the breath. She's your dearest and nearest friend. But people say, no, I'm leaving now. You stay home. When I come back, I'll meditate again. I'll have you in my temple. Spiritualize everything in your life. And a Swamiji, you see, would just be tears running down his face. He just said, so sweet to have Divine Mother with you all the time. She's your best friend. She loves you. And everybody says, no, it's my husband loves me, my wife. Conditional. My kids love me, conditional. My friends love me, is conditional. The only one who can love you purely is God. Make that relationship now, and you'll feel a sweetness so much in your daily life. And that grace will flow all the time. God bless you all. Thank you, Natendra. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Bye-bye.